Good afternoon, everyone. Steve Rao here, live on Radio Nyra for our wonderful Leaders and Legends podcast. And I'm your host, Steve Rao, and today we are with Hill Carrow, the CEO of the NC World University Games, a longtime friend of mine, former council member, one of my constituents for many years in Morrisville. I could go on, but Hill, thank you for taking time to be with us.
Steve, it's an honor and pleasure to be on the show with you today.
Hey man, this has been fun. We're in the studio, we're going to do this. We've got about 25 minutes. Tell us a little bit about you, Hill Carrow, as a leader, where you grew up, what brought you to the area, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in a small, relatively modest-sized town in eastern North Carolina, Kinston, North Carolina. And I ended up going to UNC Chapel Hill undergrad. I went to Columbia up in New York City for law school. I started out in private practice here in the area and then later migrated over to be the in-house counsel for what's now Duke Energy, was Carolina Power and Light in those days. But kind of on the side, I was always a bit of a compulsive organizer of events and activities. I was a swimmer throughout growing up and through college at UNC. I still compete in master swimming, which is old guy swimming. And so my first event that I put together that was kind of a major East Coast event was a big swim meet at NC State University back in 1981. And during that time, I was kind of had ideas for maybe doing a really major event here in the area that I had read about called the U.S. Olympic Festival. And so worked on that volunteer for quite a while I was doing the attorney thing and got a bunch of people involved as volunteers to help. And we landed that event in '84. I became the director of it, and we ran it. It was actually a 1987 event called the 1987 U.S. Olympic Festival, kind of like our country's domestic Olympics, if you will. It ran for several decades, but after that, I did my own thing. I opened a sports tourism firm, I guess we would call it these days. Helping work on projects like events and recruiting events to areas and all. Eventually went to work for Sara Lee Corporation that was champion in Hanes brands and Legs Hosiery and all in Winston-Salem, helping run their Olympic sponsorship of the 1996 Atlanta Games, which has just celebrated its 30th anniversary this year. Then subsequently went to work for the U.S. Olympic Committee and the Salt Lake Organizing Committee doing their 2002 games. Came back here after that and started a division for Capital Broadcasting Company focused on sports. 9/11 happened. We spun that off. We had a sports marketing agency, and then over recent years, we spent 5 years bidding on the World University Games.
So you got a sports business, and you and I worked together. Even when I was an elected official, I'm also a former athlete, tennis player, collegiate tennis player. But that's great. And then the World University Games. So talk a little bit about what is the World University Games? What did we win? When is it coming here? So many questions to ask. What sports? Talk to us.
Yeah, so the World University Games, many people consider them the Olympics for college and university athletes from around the world. And there are 18 Olympic sports in the Games. They have all the big sports you would typically expect, like track and field, swimming, diving, volleyball, basketball, baseball, soccer, gymnastics, tennis, but also smaller sports like judo, taekwondo, table tennis, fencing, badminton. And it's a really good mix. It's coming here in July of 2029. We started the effort to bring it here in January of 2018, and it literally took 5 years. We had to go through a domestic process, then we went through an international process. We landed it in January of 2023. We have to do it in July of 26, so we're a little over halfway to the Games. And it will bring about 10,000 participants from over 100 countries. And like the Olympics, they compete as their national university team. So it'll be the national university team of France versus the UK versus the US, etc.
And university athletes.
University athletes, you have to be affiliated or enrolled with a college or university. ages 17 to 28 for most sports. The age limit cuts off at 25 for basketball. So you can actually be in grad school as well. So
And local athletes as well. I mean, I've had some events. There was an event with Ambassador Kane where you had some athletes come that for NC State.
Yes.
Some of them were Olympians. We were at the Rush Hour Karting in Morrisville with Mayor TJ.
Yeah.
With the Carolina Courage and different athletes. One was from rowing. I think,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
So lots of athletes.
Lots of the games we expect to host around 7,500 to 8,000 athletes. The total delegation, as they call it, who comes with coaches and administrators, is over 10,000.
How many countries represented?
Over 100 countries.
100 countries. Okay.
Yeah, and so it'll be a big deal, a big international deal. This is considered kind of the second largest major global Olympic multi-sport event behind the Summer Olympic Games.
Fantastic. I would be remiss on a radio Nyra station. No cricket.
There is no cricket, but cricket did make it in the Olympic Games in Los Angeles, which is almost exactly 1 year ahead of our event. So it's great, and I've helped put on cricket here in Morrisville for the Pro League.
There you go.
So I think cricket has a lot of opportunity. But we do have badminton in the games, and we do have table tennis in the games, which are two sports here in Morrisville.
All America City of Morrisville. Always giving a plug for Morrisville. Maybe we can do some training at. Will they play any of those events in Morrisville, the table tennis, or no?
No, we won't have competition actually in Morrisville.
Okay.
Some training possibly.
Training, that's good.
Okay, yeah.
And badminton, we have 2 facilities there.
That's right.
Let's talk economics. I mean, you've mentioned a lot. 100 countries, 10,000 visitors coming. What does it mean? Sports is an economic engine, right? In terms of hotels, supporting small businesses. Have you done any forecasting of what the long-term economic impact of the games is?
We have. It's really based on some studies from recent games. We haven't done one specific to these games, so we've kind of extrapolated from recent games of what their economic impacts are. We're expecting an economic impact of over $375 million for the games. We will do additional studies as we get closer, and particularly after the games, to measure all that. But based on recent history of the games, that's a pretty reasonable projection for overall economic impacts across the region.
That's really great. So you're working with the Visitors Bureau, economic development folks, elected officials, building these coalitions, right?
That's right. As a matter of fact, Chris Chung was emailing me yesterday, and so that's North Carolina Economic Development. And yes, we work with the chambers, the CVBs, other organizations charged with working to have business development across the area, job growth, positive quality of life impacts on our community. So that's what this is all about.
That's really great. And talk to us a little bit about, just why North Carolina. I mean, you've been working so hard at this. I've gone to a number of receptions, events. What do you think it was about our region that was able to win these games? Well,
first of all, the games haven't been held in America but one time before, the Summer Games, over 30 years ago in Buffalo, New York. So not so many people are familiar with it here in the U.S. because it's migrated mostly elsewhere around the world. But to answer your question, what led them to the United States is, first of all, they were thrilled the United States was back in the bidding for the games. And it was because we're the #1 market in the whole world for collegiate athletes. I mean,
right.
Think about it. Think how much money, and now NIL's been piled on top of that, how much money and sponsorship and TV broadcasting and everything goes into just college sports here in the United States. The other is that they looked at our area. They keep in mind they did extensive reviews of all our facilities and everything, and they were super impressed with, if you think about all our venues as a collective whole. Some of us may be just familiar with NC State or just Carolina or just Duke or even just the Greensboro Coliseum complex. But if you mash all those together, we probably have one of the finest arrays of major sports venues per capita of any place on the planet.
Yeah, and Cary with the tennis, they'll be playing tennis and Cary and
Absolutely.
Baseball and soccer.
That's all those. Yeah, rugby. We're playing rugby and tennis and Cary as well. Yeah.
What is it about the university athletes that you think? Do you think there's something? I mean, it's very interesting to have these top athletes, coming in from different universities. Do you think that adds an element of kind of, looking at the future of sports?
Well, I do, and yeah, it's particularly relevant here in Central North Carolina, where we have so many colleges and universities, and very famous ones, the oldest and biggest HBCU universities, the oldest public university on the planet, in terms of the U.S., et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of history, a lot of tradition, and very well-known brands when it comes to college and university sports. So that's very important. And yes, these are young people who are going to go on. FISU, which is the international governing body for these games, calls it kind of the road to excellence. They're expecting athletes in these games to be future leaders in their country. It's not just all about sports. Sports helps them be disciplined and hardworking and have goal setting. But, they expect them to come off, and there's an education component in the games, there's arts and culture. So all those things hopefully blend together to make these young folks who come out of the games be future leaders in their countries.
That's really great. I mean, I think there's something about they're still students, so they're learning sports, the training. We've had Andy Andrews on the show. We often forget one of the best tennis players in the world, right, from North Carolina.
That's right.
Now working with the USTA to build facilities. I mean, Arthur Ashe extensions. That's great. We're going to talk a little bit about leadership, in general, towards the end of the show. We got a few more minutes with you, but let's talk about what I call bringing people together, sports diplomacy. We live in very divided times, and then when you watch, we had a lot of sports this year, right? We had, for me, you watch French Open, you had FIFA, you had NBA championships, then the big one, the Carolina Hurricanes. What is it about sports that, in your opinion, that brings people together?
Well, that's partly why I migrated into this field. I'm a lawyer by training, but as they say, I've been over the wall for a while working in this particular sector. And what I enjoyed about it is it does bring people together. Maybe music and sports are considered the two things maybe around the world that really bring people together from all backgrounds, all nationalities, all languages, all religions. And sports being one of those, I love that. And when I did the U.S. Olympic Festival here in the area before, we brought all the chambers of commerce together for the first time ever. We brought all the municipalities to work together on a common goal for the first time ever. So this is kind of more of the same, but on a bigger, more global stage. And yes, I agree with you 100%. Sports is all about bringing people together. We saw it from the events you mentioned. World Cup, maybe one of the greatest examples where, all the people from all over were there in the same stadium, from different countries, but they were all cheering for their guys. But then, they were all kind of enjoying partying together before and after the games, even though they might have been pulling against each other during the games. So it was quite a great scene. I attended the first game, Spain versus Cape Verde, and I think that is very representative of how sports brings people together from all over. Absolutely.
And the game, what are the dates of the games?
The dates of the games are July 11th, which is a Wednesday, through Sunday, July 22nd. Okay. So it's a 12-day event. It's like many Olympic events you would expect: opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, torch relay, mascots, medal ceremonies, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a really neat event, and it's almost exactly 1 year after the Los Angeles Olympic Games. So this will be kind of our Olympics on this side of the country, and I hope everybody will come and enjoy it.
That's really great. And when someone gets on, last question before we spend about 8 more minutes on leadership. When an athlete gets on a plane and leaves the games, what do you want them to take away from them about being here?
Well, I want them to, first of all, say, hey, North Carolina was a beautiful place, that the people were warm, welcoming, and friendly. And the final thing is, hey, I'd like to come back here soon.
And that's great. That's great. And then you can look back and say it was a great experience, created jobs, helped businesses. Now let's talk a little bit about leadership. And I love this idea, kind of, the impossible idea, right? I mean, you're a really hard worker, you're a tremendous networker. In some ways, I feel like you and I are similar that way. That's why I've always connected with you. Tell us a little bit about, how you had to overcome, obstacles along the way to make this a reality. Because it just didn't happen like that.
No, I mean, a lot of times, and I can't say I'm totally away from this mentality, but a lot of time, all of us kind of get stuck on this is the way things are. I'd like it to just kind of keep being the same. I'm kind of resistant to change. Doing an event like this requires everybody to get a little bit out of their normal everyday box, and and that's actually something I like, because when we all know that the sum is greater than the individual parts when everybody teams up. So I love the teamwork aspect. That's important certainly for our entire staff and volunteer organization to put a successful games on. But we also need, beyond our crew, we're going to need the cities, the chambers, the CVBs, the state of North Carolina, all to be part of this giant team, because it's going to literally take a village to pull this event off. And to lead that, you just have to have, I think, a vision. You have to be persistent. You have to keep trying to sell it. You have to set goals and keep trying to bring everybody along. Not everybody's necessarily going to jump on the ship, but I think if you have a very positive vision and can communicate it well, they will join your team.
That's great. And coalition building, right? I mean, you've already mentioned in the show, you had to work with governments, elected officials, nonprofits, chambers of commerces. I mean, what advice do you have to young leaders that are out there looking for jobs in terms of coalition building? I mean, is it something you've had to work on? Is it the motivation of people having to come out of their box a little bit? I mean, as someone that's been in politics, I can tell you that's one thing I see, is that people are kind of structured within that role.
Yes.
So now that I'm redefining myself as a non-elected official, I can see that I can be a little bit more creative, because I don't have the confines of a structure around me, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
right. Well, and I think, I think I would coach young people, and I have 7 interns right now in my office, and 2 others who are law student associates, so 9 altogether who are young folks in our office alone. And I work with them to try to get a little bit out of their, how everybody's on their phone these days. It's looking at the screen. It's not necessarily calling people and talking to people and having those personal interactions and all. Or just get out and meet with people. That's really key to success in building coalitions, is building those relationships. Yesterday, I was out in Utah, and the person who is leading the charge on the new women's professional soccer team in Denver was a speaker, and it turns out I've known him a very long time, and he was talking about what it took to kind of build a coalition to land that team kind of against all odds. And he kept saying, I have a very long list of how many people have told me no way in hell this is going to happen, but I just kept at it. And I kept building relationships, and he kept emphasizing.
I think a lot of it's about relationships.
That's what he kept emphasizing.
Keep building relationships.
That's right.
Well, this has been great. We're going to get, how do you define success when it's over? Hill Carrow, 10 years from now, or 2036, you're sitting on your porch somewhere. How would you define success?
Well, I think many people want to define it, and this would be the same for me, making a positive difference and improving things and making life better for everybody. I feel like these big sports events do that. People who join in as volunteers feel like they've really accomplished something and done something great for their community. Those who have just enjoyed it as spectators, feel like that was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing that they got to experience. And so, I look at success. Now, in the event itself, the athlete experience is very, very important. We want all the athletes to compete at their very best, and we want to set the table for that. But we want them to come away from it saying, that was a great event. I'd love to come back to North Carolina and the United States in the future. And and then for any big event these days, financial, you've got to make sure you break even at least, and that's an important criteria as well for any event like this.
Well, this is my favorite part of the show, like a minute of just rapid fire questions. But I want to thank you for all your work, your friendship. I look forward to continue to help you in any capacity I can. But tell us a little bit about your one of the favorite athletes you've met.
Well, I have been fortunate enough to meet Michael Jordan, and I've actually worked with him on a video, and I will say that as you go around the world, a lot of people don't know where Raleigh is. They sometimes struggle where North Carolina even is. But the one thing they do know about North Carolina is Michael Jordan.
There you go. Who's a leader that you've admired outside of sports that shaped you as a leader?
Well,
Or maybe it is
yeah,
sports.
no, I think locally, Jim Goodman has always been my mentor. He's the CEO of Capital Broadcasting Company.
Yeah.
He's one of our earliest and biggest supporters of this event endeavor. Another person I really enjoyed working with and I really look up to is Mitt Romney was head of the Salt Lake organizing committee for the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And so I reported to him and raising sponsorships for the Salt Lake Games. And he's as fine and smart and an accomplished an individual as you'll ever meet.
That's fantastic. What's one thing about you, like, that people don't know about you? A hobby, something that that you like to show with.
Well, one thing they might not know is I'm a huge The Who fan. Now that's probably kind of dating me, but I did get to see them on their last performance within the last year at Madison Square Garden. And and it's funny because now I'm watching a few TV shows and they got The Who's music as the background for things like The Bear and stuff.
Well, I mean, we want to thank you for all that you've done, and it's been remarkable to see this come into fruition. And want to thank you for being a part of a historic opportunity to bring university sports. We have so many more rapid fires, but you and I can do that over a coffee or something. But we learned something new. I hope you got something out of this. I love these interviews in studio. It's a lot of fun. And want to thank everyone for listening to Radio Nyra's Leaders and Legends podcast with me, the host, Steve Rao. Want to thank Ravi Cherukuri and the team for everything they do to bring this world-class programming and sports. I'll end with this. My favorite show back in the day as a kid was Worldwide Sports. The victory, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, right?
That's right.
But there's something that we can learn about each other in sports, right?
There's no doubt about it.
Pushing us, bringing us together, applying that to business skills. I mean, it's just an amazing thing. So get out there, stay active, and wherever you are, go for a run, go for a swim. We know what your favorite sport is.
Yeah.
And make it happen.
I'd like to, Steve, if I could, let me give everybody our website.
Yeah,
so
please. That was my last question.
Yeah. So our website is NCUSA2029WUG.com. So NCUSA2029WUG.com. So go on there. There's tons of information about the games. There's ways you can get our monthly newsletter and really catch up on how things are going and the progress for the next 3 years to the big event.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. It's been a great show. Hope I did okay.
You did fantastic.
And,
it's always a pleasure being with you,
and,
Steve.
Thank you so much. World University Games. Let's make it happen. Have a great day, everyone. Get out there and enjoy your time. Thank you.